Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
And sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Campaign season is getting more exciting after former President Rodrigo Duterte joked about killing senators. President Bongbong Marcos hits back.
The local government of Quezon City has declared a dengue outbreak. And the sad part, 10 patients died of the disease. 8 of them were minors.
Announcement to all car owners, tollways will go cashless in March. May RFID na ba kayo?
And Filipino gymnastics talent is shining. After the Yulo brothers, a young Filipina is making waves in Europe.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
President Bongbong Marcos slammed former President Rodrigo Duterte over his remarks about killing 15 senators. Marcos claimed the opposition may feel threatened by the strength of the slate. Here's the report.
The Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas senatorial candidates held a campaign rally in Davao del Norte over the weekend. President Bongbong Marcos attended the event. He responded to former President Rodrigo Duterte's statement about killing 15 senators to make room for PDP Laban slate.
Narinig lang natin nung isang araw. Wala daw pag-asa. Siguro, kali na, wala silang pag-asa. Kaya papatay na lang sila ng 15 na senador. Ay, talaga, sabagay. Mahirap naman yung ibang tao. Ang iniisip lang nila, ang kaisa-isang solusyon sa lahat ng problema ay pumatay pa ng Pilipino.
Marcos claimed that the opposition may be resorting to violent rhetoric due to the strong competition posed by his candidates.
Ngunit, maintindihan mo rin. Dahil kung ako nga ay nasa kabilang partido at itong mga ito ang kaharap natin, ay bako, mahihirap sasabihin ko, mahirap na kampanya ito dahil mabigat ang kalaman.
Duterte made the controversial remark at the kickoff rally of the PDP Laban senatorial slate at Club Filipino in San Juan City last week. Meanwhile, Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas campaign manager, Representative Toby Tiangco, dismissed claims that President Marcos engaged in negative campaigning during the proclamation rally in Ilocos Norte.
Ang stand naman niya talaga is a friend to everyone and an enemy to none, di ba? Pero paano naman gagawin natin kung gano'n na yung ginagawa doon sa Coast Guard natin? Paano naman gagawin natin kung binabangga na yung Coast Guard natin? Paano naman gagawin natin kung yung mga mangingisda natin ay inaapi doon sa West Philippine Sea? Can you keep that same stance? Hindi na pwede yun, di ba? Number 2, yung sa drug war. Okay, it's an issue. So where do you stand? Sa kay Presidente Marcos, bloodless drug on war. Sa kanila yung strategy nila is stock hang. So those are issues naman, hindi naman black propaganda yun.
Tiangco added that the former President Duterte's remarks against President Marcos are part of his usual political strategy.
Ganun naman yung playbook ni President Duterte, di ba? Basta't, even before, di ba? Basta't kalaban niya, yun naman ang number 1 accusation niya eh. Di ba? Either a drug user or drug pusher.
Meanwhile, senatorial bet Yoli de Guzman slams former President Rodrigo Duterte's remark on killing senators. De Guzman expressed dismay over the statement, saying such comments, even in jest, should not be tolerated. He also said that Duterte's jokes have gone too far. Duterte joked about killing 15 senators to make way for PDP Laban senatorial candidates during the party's proclamation rally last week.
Pasensya ka na sa word ko ha, pasensya ka na. Yun eh. Pero mo papatayin yung mga senador. Pero dahil puro joke, puro kasinungalingan, pagka naiipit, babawiin.
Alright. Oh, syempre alam naman natin dun, let's go to the first report earlier. Ano, alam naman natin that I think this is going to be the real message of the campaign of the admin slate, 'di ba? Is to, sabi nga nila, attack, no, waging war na nga ika nga itong Duterte, BBM admin ano doon sa kanilang campaign na ito. They are really focusing on 3 key issues, which is yung dispute natin with China, EJ case, and of course yung corruption. Kaya
Pero-
sinasabi ni PBBM, kung gusto niyo bumalik sa ganon, na maging province tayo ng China, di sila iboto nyo. Kung hindi, kung moving forward tayo, dito kayo
Alam mo,
sa
so
amin.
far, I've seen the two campaigns. None of them have been really talking about paano i-resolve the issues. Nilalabas yung issues and where they stand, pero they don't say how does each side plan to address it. Puro batuhan ng putik ang nangyari. I think the Filipino people deserves more
Yeah.
to hear. Because tayo, boboto tayo eh. Supposedly, if we want to educate yung voters, we have to teach them how to discern kung sino yung boboto through issues. Ngayon, paano mo malalaman? Puro naririnig mo, puro batuhan
Ng maaanghang na salita.
ng salita eh, 'di ba? So what, are you masking it because hindi nyo alam paano nyo gagawin ang i-resolve yung mga issues at dinadaan nyo na lang sa away? We deserve more than that.
Yes.
Hindi magbabago ang system kung puro kayo ganyan.
Yan.
Yung US may batuhan ng issues, pero at saka ng putik, pero you hear them how they plan to resolve
Totoo.
it. Then doon kayo mag-away.
Oo. And I think also, our Filipinos would like to hear also our candidates to tackle or address also yung mga rising consumer prices natin aside from those three issues. Pero sinasabi nila, going by these three key issues na to, yung sa West Philippine Sea, EJ case, at saka corruption, ay talagang patama doon sa former
Yes, oo,
administration.
correct.
Yun ang talagang nakikita ko na campaign nila.
Oo.
Diba? Kasi pag EJK pinag-usapan, divided ang country natin dyan ever since, 'di ba? Merong pro EJK or hindi naman pro EJK pero yung talagang habulin yung mga nagdodroga, pumapatay, etc. And then the other one issue naman yung West Philippine
West Philippine Sea.
'di ba? Most of the Filipinos based doon naman sa mga survey natin ay talagang gusto nilang makita kung paano gagawin ng mahahalal na mga new
Actually,
candidates yung gagawin nila for this issue.
Actually, if you look at majority, yung majority of Filipinos, mas gusto nila na sa atin yung West Philippine Sea
Yes.
at pumapanig sa US side. Yung mga nagsasabi sa China, if you look at the numbers lang I'm just talking about the actual numbers. The reason why pro-China sila is because yun ang sabi ni Duterte.
Yes.
And these are yung mga Duterte followers, di ba? So, whatever Duterte says for them, para sa kanila, nakakabuti sa atin. So, yun ang sinusunod nila.
Yes. But for the other side of the fence, yung large base nga daw dito, hindi daw satisfied yung majority of the Filipinos on how the former president handled the situation of the West Philippine Sea.
Ay, nako.
Kay Calyodi naman, of course, ito sinasabi nila, yung kanilang grupo ay grassroots yung kanilang mga type of campaigning.
Yes,
Kasi
oo.
nga hindi nila kayang lumaban pagdating sa, alam mo, campaign spending.
All of those, itong mga progressive groups naman talaga, ever since grassroots ang
Yes.
style nila.
So, sa side naman ni Calyodi dun sa interview niya about yung joke nga ni former President Rodrigo Duterte, for them talaga hanggang ngayon daw ba, still kill pa rin ang pag-uusapan natin. Kaya ang NBI, isa sa mga congressmen, if I'm not mistaken, Representative Adyong, has suggested na ang NBI daw ay tignan itong joke na ito. Kasi kung ang bomb joke daw ay may kaukulan na batas, dapat ganito rin daw yun. Tignan natin ng ganong
Most
perspektibo
airlines
as well.
in a lot of the countries, kahit sa EU at US, a bomb joke is a federal offense. Mabigat. Mabigat na offense yan.
Alright.
All right, let's move on. The Commission on Elections is investigating a party list group for alleged vote buying. Camera footage allegedly shows cash handouts of 100 peso bills and membership cards to voters in Baguio and Benguet. COMELEC did not name the group, but they confirmed it's linked to an incumbent and re-electionist lawmaker. Vote buying is a ground for a candidate's disqualification.
Now, let's talk to COMELEC spokesperson Attorney Rex Laudianco.
Good morning, spokes. Thank you for joining us.
Magandang umaga po, Sir Angelo, Mag-Angela, at sa lahat po ng taga-subaybay natin.
Yes. So, Attorney, I don't know if you saw this in last report, but yung vote buying daw sa Baguio and Benguet, ano po ang update natin dito?
Tama po, we're currently investigating that. At kung kinakailangan nga po ng COMELEC ang magsampa po ng kaso, ay gagawin po namin yan. At ginawa na po namin dati yan. And we should serve as a warning to all candidates po, whether national or local, that COMELEC will be proactive on this and we will see this through po, Sir Angelo, Ma'am Angela.
Yes, Attorney, for example, proven na po na guilty po ito, what will happen to itong candidates in question?
Dalawang bagay po. Una po sa lahat ay magsasampa kami ng kaso ng petition for disqualification kung saan i-disqualify namin hindi lang po yung nominees kundi po yung mismong party list group. Ikalawa, magsasampa po kami ng kaso ng criminal offense. Tinatawag po natin na election offense of vote buying. Dahil po ang gusto po namin, kung sakaling nilang batas, maihabla sila sa korte at mapakulong po namin sila. Hinahabol po ng COMELEC dyan, perpetual disqualification to hold public office, imprisonment of 1 to 6 years, at pagkakatanggal po ng kanilang karapatang bumoto.
Klaruhin ko lang, attorney, yung perpetual disqualification, ipapataw ito sa nominee or sa party list in general?
Maari pong pareho doon sa nominees po, at pangalawa po, yung party list po mismo ay maari namin kansilahin yung kanilang registration dahil sa paglabag po sa ating mga batas.
Okay.
Pati po ba yung tumanggap? Meron din po ba silang kaukulang parusa?
Opo, at ang tinatawag po dito ay vote selling. Ito po yung Section 261B. Kung yung vote buying po ay A, ito po yung B, yung pag-aalok ng kanilang mga boto at pagtanggap po ng pera kabalik nito.
Spokes, can you tell us po, can you disclose to us na yung pangalan ng grupo na ito na allegedly sangkot nga po dito sa vote buying dyan sa Baguio?
Kung maaari po, hihingi ako ng pahintulot sa inyo na wag po muna po i-disclose dahil ongoing po investigation dito and I don't want to preempt po ano bang kalalabasan ng investigation. Dahil dalawa po ito, hindi lang po ito administrative case. Manganganak po ito ng criminal case kung kami po ay makakuha ng probable cause at sufficient evidence.
Right. Aside from what happened po dyan sa Baguio, can you give us another scenario po considered as vote buying? Kasi meron din po silang sinasabi na bawal din daw po pakainin yung mga supporters ng mga kandidato.
Yes.
Tama po ba yun?
Opo, malinaw po kasi sa Section 261A ng Omnibus Election Code ay pamimigay ng anumang bagay na may halaga, anything of value, pangangako ng gift, promise ng mga employment, franchise, at iba pa. Basta ang kapalit po nun ay paghihikayat na bumoto para sa isang kandidato, huwag ibotong isang kandidato, vote buying po yan. Kaya nga po yung ibang namimigay ng mga iba't ibang klaseng paraphernalia, sinasabi na po namin sa kanila, ihingi nyo ng pahintulot sa COMELEC kung kayo mamimigay ng mga t-shirts, baller band. Kailangan may pahintulot kayo there. Otherwise, pag namigay po kayo niyan ng walang prior authority sa COMELEC, ay maaari pong magresulta ito ng charge ng vote buying.
Right. I would also like to ask po itong ni-launch po niyo recently, yung, or nung 2022, yung Kontra Bigay Task Force or Kontra Bigay. Can you tell us more about it?
Tama po, pinaikting po itong para sa 2025 na halalan. Ang Committee on Kontra Bigay, mas pinalakas po namin, binigyan ng kapangyarihan, mas marami pong kapartner na agency. Halos lahat po ng relevant government agencies na makakatuwang ng COMELEC laban sa vote buying at vote selling ay kasama na po namin. Kung makikita nyo rin po sa resolution, napakarami pong presumptions. Meron kang dalang 500,000 pesos 3 days before the election. Hindi mo mapaliwanag bakit may dalang kang pera, kakasuhan ka namin ng vote buying. 20,000 pesos na bariya. May kasama mga either indelible ink or campaign paraphernalia, kakasuhan ka rin namin ng vote buying. Sa korte ka na lang po magpaliwanag. Meron kang nag-distribute ka ng kung ano ng mga grocery sa bahay na minigay ng paraphernalia at iba't iba pa, lahat po ay napakaraming presumptions ng vote buying. At kasama rin po dito yung pagbabantay sa online financial platforms. Inaasahan na po namin sa loob ng ilang araw ay maglalabas ang Bangko Sentral ng kaparehong nilabas silang circular noong 2023. Binabawasan at minomonitor yung kanilang cash in at cash out at yung pong reserve ng ebidensya laban sa suspicious multiple transactions.
And attorney, taking this opportunity also, hingi po ako ng update po sa inyo. Kamusta na po ang printing of ballots? Is everything going smoothly?
Tama po. Baka po itong araw na to ay maka 33 million ballots na po tayo na imprenta at bumilis na rin po yung aming verification. So we're on track. Tingin po namin baka mapaaga pa pero ang deadline po kasi namin sa aming sarili by second week of April dapat ready to deploy na po ang lahat ng gamit ng COMELEC. And I think po baka mas mapaaga pa kami dito. Sumusulong na rin po ang training ng ating mga trainers na magtuturo sa lahat ng election boards EBs natin para po maisagawa ng maayos ang halalan.
Tsaka attorney, kamusta na po yung regarding yung campaign poster rules natin? Kamusta na ang implementation natin? Are you seeing a rise or a decrease in cases po na lumalabag dito?
mukha po bumababa at nakita naman po nila na seryoso ang COMELEC sa Operation Baklas. Tuloy-tuloy po ito, araw-araw na gagawin po namin kasi nga po napakarami namin magpapapartners dito kasama ng DPWH pati DNR. By the way po, hindi lamang sa unlawful campaign materials, hindi lamang sa illegally posted materials, kundi yung pagiging environmentally sustainable ng pangangampanya ay tinututukan na po ng COMELEC. Kaya nga po sinasabi namin dapat gamitin biodegradable materials o kaya po talagang pagpatuloy yung pag-reuse, pag-reduce at pag-recycle ng campaign material.
Yeah, spokes, we had, last Friday, we had Contra Daya here over the show. We talked about po yung kanilang finlag na mga ibang mga party list saying na hindi daw po talaga directly nagre-representa ng mga marginalized sectors. And I also asked them po kasi si Professor Danilo Arao kung confident po sila dito sa magiging election po, no, in sa mga preparations sa ginagawa ng COMELEC. Honestly, ang sagot po niya sa amin, hindi. Your reaction on that? Spokes? I think we lost
Sa po nila kami sa pananaw. Hello?
Yes,
Hello
go ahead po,
Hello po.
Attorney.
Opo. Naunawaan ko po kung saan nanggagaling po yung sentimiento ng Contra Daya at ni Professor Danny Arao. Kaisa po nila kami sa pananawagan at sana nga po maambiyendahan na yung Republic Act 7941. Dahil hanggat nandyan po yung provision na yan na hindi naman kinakailangan na maging miyembro ng sektor na nire-represent sa patay advokasya. Ito na rin po yung naging desisyon ng ating Supreme Court sa atong paglaom. Talagang mananatili itong ganyan ang sistema, hindi lang ng party list, kundi ang mga nominado. Kaya po sana ang solusyon dito, amendment po sa ating party list act.
Yung mga po nila, yung medyo hindi daw po sila confident dun sa preparation na ginagawa po ninyo dahil din daw po dun sa mga ibang mga issues hounding itong Miru system.
Sana po sumama sila sa amin doon sa local source code review dahil naimbitahan ko rin po sila. Sana po samahan din nila nung kami po ay nagpapacertify ng mga sistema. Bukas din po ang aming warehouse para tunghayan nila ang preparation namin na ngayon ay pre-election logic and accuracy testing at downloading ng programa. Siguro po kung yung Contra Daya ay sumasama lang at nanonood sa lahat ng ginagawa namin na naka-livestream po, baka po magbago ang pananaw nila dahil kung titignan nyo po, napakarami po nang pumupunta sa amin at sila lang po ang katangi-tangi nagsasabi na hindi po handa ang COMELEC at gayon nga po, we're ahead of schedule. 33 million ballots, baka bukas lang po, baka 34 million ballots na tayo. So we're right on track po sa ating preparation.
All right, thank you so much for your time. That was COMELEC spokesperson Attorney Rex Laudianco. Now, meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos led the mega job fair for 4Ps beneficiaries in Tagum City, Davao del Norte this weekend. In his speech, Marcos promised no Filipino would be left behind. He also highlighted his administration's commitment to providing job opportunities. Over 800 jobs were offered during the fair in partnership with the Labor Department and private companies.
Patuloy din namin pinapalakas ang paghahatid ng mga serbisyo para sa inyong lahat upang matulungan kayo na makahanap ng trabaho at magsilbing hakbang tungo sa pagkamit ng inyong mga pangarap sa buhay at para sa inyong mga pamilya.
Coming up, the Quezon City government declares a dengue outbreak as cases continue to rise.
Chito Francisco has publicly apologized to Alex Calleja over the car wash joke controversy. What was Alex's response? We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Now, the House Strike Committee is set to hold its second hearing on the spread of online disinformation on February 18. This follows the issuance of show cause orders to 28 social media influencers and bloggers who skipped the initial inquiry. They now face possible legal action, including subpoena and contempt charges. Meanwhile, government officials, tech giants, and media experts are also expected to testify on potential regulatory measures. Yan, if you can remember the last time that they had this hearing, first time,
Hindi sila sumipot yung iba.
Ito yung majority of the vloggers.
And they filed sila Trixie Cruz Angeles
Yes.
sa Supreme Court
And some of these invited vloggers or influencers are known parang pro-Duterte. So I also would like to ask, of course, ang House of Representatives on how did they come up with the list of social media influencers to get to be invited in the hearing.
Pero if you look at kasi yung itong mga nag-file sa Supreme Court, sila ang matataas ang engagement rate sa across platforms And then sila matataas ng followers. So I guess yun ang isa sa parameters nila, sino yung mga top. Kasi may every quarter, every month, ang lalabas ang Meta tsaka yung ByteDance ng list nila ng mga top influencers, and then based on earnings and views. So I think that's why they will talk to the tech giants itong next to see paano nila rin-rank ito and how do they flag this. Kasi alam mo, honestly, it's about time we learn how to regulate.
Yes, ako I agree with that. Hindi naman to siguro pagkukurtil ng freedom of expression. Pero tsaka tingnan muna natin, 'di ba? Ano ba yung itatanong sa kanila diyan sa House of Representatives?
Tsaka alam mo, reminder lang sa kanila, yung freedom of speech, while it is very important part of the institution of democracy, there is also a limitation to it. Just like kami sa media, we have freedom
May
of
ethics,
speech.
diba? Oo.
But we go by a certain standards and we are regulated by certain standards. So, kung gusto niya maging professional and you wanna be called also a broadcast journalist on your platforms, then you should have a set of rules and regulations as well. Oo.
So yan ang aabangan natin kung a-attend sila. At saka syempre, 'di ba, kapag naglabas ng contempt order ang House of Representatives, usually may arrest na 'yan, 'di ba, dun sa mga hindi
Tsaka
a-attend.
yung court-
Will they snub this second hearing? Yan ang
Tsaka the courts
aantayin natin.
rarely nakikialam yan pag mga contempt charges from the House. Kasi separation sila of powers So, rinirespeto rin ng Supreme Court yan.
So nabibigyan lang ng kulay kasi yun nga, as I've said earlier, majority of the influencers or vloggers that were invited to this hearing ay pro-Duterte, parang or very critical, sabi nga nila, very critical on the government, which is the Marcos administration. Kaya sinasabi nila, baka naman pinapatahimik lang kami kaya ganito.
Bago sila nag-file sana, mag-attend sila, tignan nila kung ginigipit
Check nila,
sila.
oo.
Kung ginigipit sila, di may
What
pinanghawakan
were the
sila.
questions?
Di, tsaka may pinanghawakan sila on national television. Ito Supreme Court, ito ginawa sa amin. Pero to prematurely file cases na hindi pa naman sila sumasalang, hindi mo naman masasabi na kinukurtail sila.
Kasi grabe na talaga yung talamak talaga yung
It
fake
is.
news and yung mga troll system, 'di ba? Troll farms. Even I think yung mga sabi nila yung mga advertisement, yung mga advertising companies, they also hire trolls din daw. Yun ang
Tayo nga sa media may mali lang
allegedly,
nasabi, libel, katakot-takot na
Libelous
libel. Dapat both sides, even the influencers, should have a way that nare-regulate sila. It's for their own good naman as well.
Yes. Oo. Alright, in other news, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to hear a petition seeking to raise the minimum jeepney fare. According to the LTFRB, the petition has been pending since November 2023 and is scheduled for a hearing on February 19. If approved, the minimum fare will increase by 2 pesos from the current 13 pesos to 15 pesos. In October, the LTFRB granted a 1 peso provisional fare increase. So, there were a lot of interviews and reports regarding this kasi nga of course yung mga jeepney drivers natin would like to have increase, 'di ba, dun sa kanilang mga fare dahil ang hirap na, ang mahal-mahal na ng gasolina. Kung bababa siya the week after na tumaas, sobrang liit naman, 'di ba? So talagang parang for them, it's fair lang na mabigyan sila ng ganitong klaseng amount of taas pasahe.
Ika nga, ang sabi nga nila, bababa ng 8 pesos pero tataas ng 15.
Oo, 'di ba? Pero yun nga, yung ibang mga pasahero naman, syempre, naisip nila, ngayon tataas yung pamasahe, di tataas na naman yung gastusin nila. Yung other commuters naman are saying, siguro nga dapat nabigyan sila ng ng kahit 2 pesos man lang doon na taas na pamasahe. Alright,
Let's move on. All motorists using toll expressways must have a valid radio frequency identification or RFID sticker on their vehicles starting March 15. This is after the Department of Transportation announced the re-implementation of cashless or contactless toll collections across all tollways. Vehicles without an RFID sticker may still enter toll plazas, but they will be required to have one installed on site. However, they will be issued a temporary operator's permit or a show-cause order. Authorities will strictly enforce penalties for non-compliant motorists.
Alright.
Sana hindi, linawin lang nila yan kasi sometimes may mga sticker, pero yung ibang sticker hindi gumagana kasi nagwa-warp sa araw.
Make sure lang na maayos
qualified
yung sistema.
Qualified. Sa bagay, they give us cards naman, pero qualified ba yung cards? Wala bang show cause order ibibigay kung may card ka lang? Kasi hindi naman namin yung kasalanan minsan kung hindi gumagana naman yung sticker.
Oo. Depende yan siguro sa magiging situation. Pero yun nga, by March 15, dapat maayos lahat.
Oo, I mean,
kasi ang problema kasi, kunyari, pupunta ka dun sa area na yun, tapos fully loaded naman yung card mo, tapos may nauna sa'yo, tapos pupunta dun sa may card lane, tapos wala naman palang laman yung card niya. So, ang nangyayari, bottleneck doon, ang tagal tuloy. Diba?
Tsaka widen the roads na rin. Hindi, pero alam mo kasi yan, tama ka eh. Cashless will help. Ang hinaing lang kasi ng mga ibang motorist, ang sabi nila nagiging problema, bakit ako mag-load ng minimum na 200? Once every 2 months na naman ako dumadaan sa toll.
For others,
For others. Pero ang actually, if you compute it, ang 200 mo, kunyari, minimum, nag-load ka ng 200, kulang pa yon sa isang trip mo yan. So at least, magagamit mo yan and smooth ka. Diba? Hindi ka na magkakapa ng barya, hihintay ka pa ng sukle. If every single vehicle on that sa linya, in the tollways, cashless
Susunod.
lahat. Isipin mo, you're cutting time. Ang average time na nasi-save daw is 15 to 30 seconds per
Yes.
vehicle. So could you imagine if you have 1,000 vehicles going through the tollway lane? Ang bilis niyan, di
Totoo
ba?
yan.
Oo. Di benefit lang naman natin yan. Oo.
Yun lang, on the other side of the fence, that make sure lang nila yung mga toll system natin maayos. Walang aberya din.
Alright, in other news, Quezon City has declared a dengue outbreak due to rising cases in the city. From January 1 to February 14 this year, 1,769 cases were recorded, mostly among minors. Of this, 10 have died, 8 of whom were children. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte described the hike in cases as alarming.
Hindi po natin layunin na takutin ang publiko at magpanik ang lahat. Sa halip, ang nais natin ay maging mas alerto at mas conscious ang publiko para agad din sila makakilos.
Meantime, Dr. Rolando Cruz of the Quezon City Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit says many residents mistake dengue symptoms for a common fever. He also cites climate change as one of the factors contributing to the spike in cases.
Wala na tayo dapat ulan by this time, no? Pero just the other day, umulan na naman ng malakas. So yun yung kasi kalaban natin pagdating sa dengue, no? Patuloy yung pagdami ng breeding sites.
Yan. It's really very alarming kasi majority of yung cases nila ay mga minors. And we all know naman that itong Aedes aegypti na to, yung mosquito, dengue mosquito carrying, hindi Aedes aegypti.
It's otherwise known as the blue rider mosquito.
Yes, sila yung may dalang mga dengue, 'di ba? They are daytime feeders eh. Yung madalas itong mga bata nasa labas, sa eskwelahan or naglalaro sa may
ang source
park.
nito is stagnant water. Yan.
Yes.
Kita nyo sa video screens natin or sa TV nyo, karamihan nang gagaling yan sa mga, kunyari yung mga swing na gawa sa mga gulong.
Yes.
May tubig doon or maliliit na puddles. That's how they breed. And you can tell the dengue mosquito that by its long legs with blue stripes.
Yeah. Tapos yun nga, going back to sa sinasabi ko, yung mga minors talaga yung mga naapektuhan recently. Of course, sabi nga nilang mga doktor na nakakausap natin, kasi yung mga bata, hindi pa fully developed yung kanilang mga immune system. Okay, so to talk about the outbreak, we have Dr. Rolando Cruz, Chief Epidemiologist, Quezon City Health Department. Sir, welcome po sa News and Views. Thanks for joining us today. Doc? Can you hear us okay?
Sa ating lahat at sa mga nakikinig.
Yes, good morning, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us. Regarding the declaration of the outbreak sa Quezon City, ano po yung mga factors na led to this? Do we have an increased number of cases as compared to previous years?
Yung latest data po natin from January 1 to February 14, nakapagtala na tayo ng more than 1,007 cases of dengue in Quezon City with 10 So this is more than 200% increase, no, from previous same period last year. So yun po. So medyo alarming po to kasi unusually ang dami, no, compared dun sa mga experience natin previous years.
Yes.
Usually January mababa na yung dengue cases natin.
Yes, Doc, yung sa mga cases na report, do we have data kung karamihan dito yung hemorrhagic fever type ng dengue?
So ang less than 1% naman yung ating mga ganyang klase, no? So kung yung sa mga 10 namatay, yun po lang yung nagkaroon tayo ng dengue hemorrhagic type ng dengue po, no. So ang nangyayari kasi ay hindi agad, no, nakikita ng ating mga doktor, no, at napapagkamala lang ng ordinary lagnat, no. So humahantong dun sa pagdating sa health facility o hospital man yan or dun sa health center natin ay may mga warning signs na, no, ng dengue.
Pero ano po ba yung yung mga symptoms that we should watch out for to make sure po na yung mga bata ay talagang matitignan po na ay ito ay dengue, no? Kasi yun nga po sinasabi niyo po kanina.
May pneumonia outbreak
Oo,
din
may pneumonia outbreak na pagkakamala nila na kasi yung mga symptoms parang common flu symptoms lang.
So, ganito po, ma'am, no? Ang message namin ngayon ay pagka ang anak, bata, no? Kahit sino, no? Pero priority natin lalo na sa mga bata, no? Less than 10 years old. Basta nilalagnat ito ng South, no? So, wag na tayo maghanap pa ng iba pa. Kasi napakahirap i-distinguish ng dengue sa ibang sakit, no? Kasi masakit ang ulo, nilalagnat una, sakit ng ulo, tapos may masakit ng mga katawan, ano. So minsan bibigyan lang ng paracetamol ng energy, no. So bababa yung lagnat, pero the following day, on the third day, hindi na yan kumakain, hindi na yan umiinom, matamlay na, wala nang ganang kumain, tapos sumasakit yung tiyan, minsan nagsusuka. So wag natin paabutin sa ganun. So ang message namin ngayon sa mga kababayan natin dito sa Quezon City ay may lagnat lang, no? So kailangan natin lang ma-rule out agad yung kung ito ay dengue o hindi. So available naman po ang ating mga dengue test kits sa ating mga health centers, no, libre po ito. At nagbukas na po from Saturday to Sunday, no, Monday to Sunday na po ang bukas namin ito while meron tayong outbreak ng dengue dito sa Quezon City.
Doc, saan area po, which specific area po yung may outbreak po tayo sa Quezon City ng dengue? And how is the local government coordinating po with the health authorities to control nga po the spread of dengue?
So, ang instruction ay patayin muna yung mga adult mosquitoes doon sa mga areas na mayroong clustering ng dengue. So, ito ay naandun sa malalaki naming barangay, no? So, Batasan Hills, Hot Spirit, Commonwealth, no? And then yung Tatalon, tsaka yung Bahay Toro. So, these are the priority barangays na marami. So, merong 76 barangay na nasa outbreak level ngayon. So, ang instruction ay doon sa mga may clusters area, chemical control tayo agad para mapatay yung adult mosquito para hindi na uli sila makakagat, no? So, yun ang priority ngayon. Tapos, this will be followed out by a massive cleanup drive, search and destroy activities sa community at din sa school. And then, at the same time, kaya po yung na-mention ko kanina, nag-open po kami ng mga health centers, no, na sa ating mga community, no. May mga 66 health centers po tayo across Quezon City, no. At yung mga 3 nating LGU hospitals, they are equipped to handle dengue cases, no. May fever express lane po tayo, no. So pagka may lagnat, ikaw na yung una natitignan, ano. Tapos available test kits natin para na merong early detection ang kailangan natin. Hindi naman kailangan ma-hospital yung mga magpa-positive sa dengue. Kailangan lang makita sila, ma-assess ano yung condition nila, may blood workup yan, no? Blood test natin, titignan natin yung ilang itsura ng kanilang blood examination, and then i-advise yung magulang kung ano yung gagawin. So closely monitor po namin yung mga pasyente na ganito. So yun po yung message natin sa mga kababayan natin dito sa Quezon City.
So Doc, para malinaw lang, I'll clarify natin yung binanggit nyo kanina. Kung dati kasi ang messaging a few years ago, maghintay ng third day, tapos pag persistent ang fever, tsaka magpa-test. Ngayon, possibly as much as possible, since libre ang test, day 1 pa lang, i-check na natin kung dengue o hindi.
So, ang importante muna kasi makikita ng doktor, ma-assess. Kasi minsan ang hirap bilangin kung ano yung day 1, no? Baka nagkakamali. Baka minsan yung nanay akala yung day 1 ay yung meron lang lagnat, pero hindi niya alam.
Prior to that, nag-day 1 na pala siya.
Oo, baka bata kasi mahirap, 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 hindi nagsasabi, no? May additional assessment na gagawin ng doktor, tapos baka may additional symptoms na rin kasi, no? Then talagang medyo ang instruction is to be really suspicious, no? Doon sa mga nilalagnat ngayon para hindi naman ibig sabihin yung dengue test. Of course, mas appropriate yung more than 3 days na lagnat, no, para mag-positive. Pero yun ang ibig sabihin yun ay hindi na rin siya effective dun sa less than 3 days, no? So meron kasi nagpa-positive din na less than 3 days. So pag nag-negative yan, wala yung ibig sabihin, no? Ang ibig sabihin nun ay i-monitor natin siya uli, no? Baka probably ulitin uli yung test on the third or the 5th day, no? So ganun po yung gagawin. Basta importante, nasa radar na namin sila na eto bata ang like that, ipapollow up namin ito, babalik sa mga health center at uutusan silang mag-report uli sa health center, no, para ma-monitor natin.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. That was Dr. Rolando Cruz, ang Chief Epidemiologist ng Quezon City Health Department. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Maraming salamat din po at magandang umaga po ulit.
Ayun.
Tulad nung nabanggit niya kasi talaga kanina, tsaka even in our report, climate change din one of the reasons, one of the factors. Dahil kung January, di ba, ngayong January, nakailang ulan na tayo Diba? So I guess yung mga fumigation na ginagawa ng mga barangay health centers na let's say nagsa-start ng June, ngayon January pa lang gagawin na
Yeah, masasabi ni Doc, kaya yung protocol nila noon sa third day, it's because doon lang lumalabas sa test. But mas maganda kung first day ng lagnat, pa-test kayo ngayon, tapos sa third day, balik kayo, pa-test kayo ulit. Tapos kung negative pa rin, sa 5th day, magpa-test kayo lang ulit. Tapos kung the doctor will decide kung kailangan ng treatment or further test. Basta yun ang mga critical dates. Oo.
So, mosquito repellent, tapos linisin ang paligid. Check even yung mga halaman sa
Stagnant
mga pots
water,
na natitira yung mga tubig doon. Lagi nila i-check yun kasi pwede rin pamugaran. You may, I checked sa social media yesterday ba yun, if I'm not mistaken. Merong isang city, nakalimutan ko lang kung saan yun. Parang meron silang piso para sa lamok or mosquito program.
I heard that sa news kanina.
Oo, parang for me naman, baka mamaya dahil sa pagiging creative ng mga Pinoy, mamaya mag-breed na sila ng mga manok to. Manok to yung mosquito. Para
Hindi naman siguro.
para makakuha sila ng pera.
Paano ka mag-breed?
Huwag naman ganun. Dapat ang contest na lang gawin, kung gusto nila ng mga ganyang program, dapat yung palinisan ng area, ganun na lang. Instead of yung maghuli ka ng lamok, tapos ibigay mo doon sa LGU.
I think naman kasi that the number of mosquitoes is a representation of kung gaano ka effectively clean ang area mo. Kasi kung malinis ang area mo, they will die on their own. I don't think naman they will breed mosquito.
Hindi, I'm saying kasi ang premyo nung LGU na yun per mosquito, baka mamaya mag-breed na sila. So ngayon, dapat ang gawin nila, instead of that, palinisan ng area.
I think that's what they will do. Pero ang mangyayari kasi, pag malinis ang area mo, ang natural instinct ng mosquito, they drop dead. Kasi they need water to breed. So kung walang water to breed, they just drop dead. So kung patay na, kukolektahin. Pero hindi ko makita, kunyari kung may piggery ka, may male at female ka, alam mong may output na anak. Pero paano ka magbe-breed? O ikaw, babae kang mosquito, anuhin ko,
Hindi,
breed
kasi
natin.
yung magbibigay daw sila ng mosquito. Pero anyway, basta gusto ko, sana, yung palinisan sila na lang ng area. Yun na lang.
Mosquito breeder. Baka gusto niya bumili. Ay, nako, don't go away. We're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The mosquito breeders, naisip ko lang. Alright, let's move on. The Bureau of Customs seized 1.4 billion pesos worth of imported luxury vehicles from two warehouses in Pasay and Parañaque. Among the seized cars are Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maybach, and Maserati models. The BOC's Customs Intelligence and Investigation Service had been monitoring the shop since early of February. The shop owners were given 15 days to provide proof of tax payments for the seized vehicles. Oh, 1 point ano daw, di ba? 1.5 billion ata ang umabot, di ba? Sa malaki.
1.4 billion, sabi dun sa
1.4
report
billion
mo.
ang total. Kasi yung isang car doon, yung Ferrari, I think was somewhere about 100 plus million eh. Oo.
So, under investigation, no? Itong shop na ito. Kasi, syempre, we need to know pa paano na-discover ng Bureau of Customs yung smuggling operations ng luxury cars na ito. And, ang tawag dito, matagal na ba nila ito ginagawa?
Tsaka mind
diba?
you, actually, nung panahon ni PRRD, may mga ganito na nahuhuli. Yung mga and then they sell it ata smuggled car, tapos they sell it for a lesser of its value. Pero ito kasi, ang parokyano ng mga ganitong klaseng kotse, hindi basta-basta eh. These are the high-end of the high-end cars. In other words, kung may Ferrari kasi, meron yung tinatawag na low-end Ferrari, high-end Ferrari. Itong Ferrari na to is somewhere between 100 million pesos to 200 million pesos. Ang selling price, ang selling price.
Exactly.
Yan. Oo.
So, yun nga, as I've said kanina, no, they'll be investigating this matter. Kasi, ewan ko kung gaano katagal na itong shop na to, nagtitinda ng mga luxury cars. And of course, sino-sino yung mga kliyente nila, 'di ba? Ano yung mga dokumento that will prove yung yung link nila dito sa smuggling operations nila.
Ayan, yan yung...
At anong mangyayari dun sa mga luxury cars?
Oo.
I remember kasi, di ba, yung may mga nasasabat na sa Bureau of Customs, kunyari mga fake, mga bags, and sinisira.
Oo.
Di ba? And even yung mga sa onion, sinisira nila because hindi daw dumaan sa food quality check yon, etc. Yung mga onions before. Etong mga luxury cars, anong mangyayari dito?
Yung mga motorcycles kasi sinira mga Ducati noon. Pero I don't know about, sometimes kasi pag
What
malaki
will
ang value,
happen?
parang I remember, panahon ba ni Pinoy, what they did was they sold it to cover the tax cost na dapat babayaran, tapos may dagdag na presyo in an auction.
Right.
Oo. That was before. I don't know about yung protocol ng government about this. So,
We should talk to Bureau of Customs soon.
saka BIR also. Kasi tax issue rin to
Yes.
Under
oo,
declared tax
oo.
to
As I've said nga kanina, ilang taon na ba nag-ooperate itong luxury cars na to? And then are there also other shops na involved sa smuggling?
Well, for this shop, I don't know. Pero this has been going on. Kasi madaming kotse na before.
1.4 billion.
Oh, Lamborghini, Ferrari.
Yes. All right. In other news, actually in entertainment, Alex Calleja has accepted a public apology from Chito Francisco over the car wash joke issue. Francisco admitted his mistake, saying he regrets accusing Calleja of, quote, stealing the joke. Francisco asked blogger to delete his statements to minimize damage. Calleja earlier shared proof he had been using the joke since 2011. He also warned about cyber libel, reminding that accusations should be private. Yeah, I remember this kasi may mga nirepost si Alex Calleja na mga jokes niya na he posted year 2009, 2011, 2012, proving na he wrote this joke, na nauna siyang sabihin itong joke na to. And then eventually, yun nga, nag-public apology naman itong isang comedian.
Issues,
and move on na daw, sabi ni Alex Calleja.
Mga ganitong issues medyo common sa mga comedians to kasi,
oy, ninakaw mo joke ko.
case in point, yung kay Rex Navarrete at kay Jokoy, di ba? There have been accusations that si Jokoy daw has been taking jokes from Rex Navarrete kasi may mga similarities. And other comedians as well because mostly kasi yung humor nila, if it's one niche, may tendency na
Magkakapares. Lalo pa kung ang
talaga.
ang
culture jokes, kunyari
Oo,
culture
Filipino
joke.
culture. So, syempre, kahit papaano, alam natin ang mga kultura ng Pinoy. So, medyo talaga magkakaroon ng similarities. Pero syempre, yung the way they execute
Yung style,
it at saka yung style, dun magkakaiba.
Anyway, buti si Alex, we've met him, we worked with him. Buti na lang he has records of all his jokes. So at least na-retract na and issue solved,
And
move
what's good
on.
about this is, yun nga, nag-public apology naman.
Oo,
Tapos
hindi.
sabi niya, okay na, tanggap na yung apology accepted.
Oo,
and
tsaka
let's move
the
on.
issue was killed the moment na okay na, tapos na tayo. I mean, mistake, my bad. The person who accused Alex Calleja said, tanggalin niyo na yung mga pinost, huwag niyo na anuhin, palakihin pa. So yung mga nag-share dyan, huwag na kayo mag-share. Yung guy na
For
mismo na
content.
nag-initial post, sinabi niya, delete niyo na yan.
Exactly.
Diba?
Alright.
Alright, a young Filipino gymnast is making a name for herself on the European stage. She is 12-year-old Italy-based athlete Jody Chavez. Jody was only 5 years old when she was introduced to gymnastics. And even with a busy school schedule, she balances it with regular training. Since 2021, she has secured several victories in various regional tournaments and even made it to the top 10 in the national finals. She suffered a major injury during training. Instead of giving up, Jody came back stronger. In January of this year, Jody triumphed in the Gold A5 regional tournament in Naples, Italy, defeating older competitors in her age group.
Last year was the major accident niya po. Tumama po yung underlip, yung lower lip niya. So, natanggalan po siya ng 4 teeth. So, she had to go the surgery. And then, 8 stitches. Kasi that time, yung nakita ko, sir, siya yung accident na yun, lahat ng magulang na makikita on that situation, susuko ka, sir. So, sabi ko, anak, tama naman, mag-isip muna tayo. Baka hindi to para sa'yo.
After po that incident po, ayaw ko na po mag-gymnastics. But, pumunta pa ako sa gym ko po kasi po gusto ko pong parang manood po, ganyan po. Then, sabi po ng puso ko po, gusto ko nang bumalik.
Cute. But I think we found our next boxing category. Gets mo? Kasi 'di ba yung mga Pinoy laging natatalo sa iba't ibang mga sports category. Pero ito, since Carlos Yulo,
Na naman mayagpag na tayo sa
baka
gymnastic.
mamayagpag naman tayo sa gymnastic. And pwede kasi hindi naman kailangan ng
Secondary yan,
matangkad.
Secondary sport na natin. Parang,
Pwede. Parang
boxing,
ganun.
boxing.
Exactly. So, good luck kay
Ito pala,
Filipina gymnast.
Ito pala yung bad news, no? Yung Gilas over the weekend, we had a loss. Oo.
Sayang.
And then ito, may laban sila against Egypt and then the score was 86-55. So medyong malaki
malaki-laki,
point
oo.
differential. That's 31.
And prior to that, natalo din sila, di ba?
Malaki, that's a 31.8. It's maganda na we participated in this tournament para mag-gauge ni Team Cone ano ba yung magiging strength ng kalaban natin moving forward.
What else can we do?
And what else can we do, no? Sa UAAP naman, sa NU versus the LSU,
Opening yesterday.
opening yesterday, 3-0 ang NU versus the LSU. Sa Ateneo naman, 2-3 versus Adamson.
Yung kanina kinukwento sa atin, di ba, ni Direk, yung sa Adamson, yung rookie nila na pumasok gumawa ng matinding score.
Si Shaina Nitura.
Yes.
Adamson, all-time UAP scoring, all-time yan record with 33 points. So,
Congratulations. Kasi
33
mga
points.
aabangan siya.
Umiinit ang mga natin at dami tayong talented athletes.
Yan,
ngayon,
volleyball din, di ba? Marami ng growing fan base yan.
Ang volleyball is emerging, I don't even wanna call it emerging sport,
Hindi
emerged already sport. Nakikita mo pag yung mga championship ng mga volleyball tournament, grabe, punong-puno yung mga coliseum. Ang bilis ng labanan mawala ka ng hinga Hindi ka nga pwede daw bumili ng popcorn or hotdog, pagbalik mo, layo na ng score.
Hindi katulad ng basketball.
Ayun. Okay. Well, it was a news-packed Monday morning. Thank you again sa lahat ng mga viewers natin for joining us.
Second week ng campaign period ng National Post. Antayin nila by March yung local election naman na campaign period.
Kaya yung mga local viewers natin and mga keep tuned here sa programa natin for updates sa mga campaign. Malaman nyo sino gusto nyo iboto and issues and more. But before we let you go, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote that hopefully would start your week right. You do not find the happy life. You make it. A quote from Camila Earing Kimball. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One You.
All sides, all the time.